Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Philly Fan Radio. I'm John Myer, along with Dan Palmieri, and this episode, we're actually going to be specifically talking about some of the offseason. Even though the playoffs are happening and the Birds shit the bed on the first round, thanks to some, obviously the offensive coordinator and, the offensive line, and we've bitched and everything about that. But we're going to do some speculations. We're going to go through some numbers. Who's going to be the next OC? Some confirmed interviews, some speculations. Again, we're going to talk about the offseason. You know what, Dan? I don't even think we had on the list today. We're going to be talking about the playoffs and, who's going to make it.
Do we care?
But do you know that Bad Bunny is at the halftime?
Yeah, I'm real excited about that one.
Picked it? I'm sorry. That is horrible. I'm going to change the channel. I'm going to go watch the freaking Puppy Bowl or something.
Puppy Bowl was advertising last night. I'm ready to go.
You know what? I'm going to. You know what? I saw something, and he posted that everybody has 1 month, 2 months to learn Spanish before the Super Bowl. No, speak fucking English. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, this is a Super Bowl.
That's I'm going to be reading my halftime performance. Why? Why do I have to do it? It's like when you watch a movie with a ton of subcaptions and it's just I'm reading the movie. If I wanted to do that, I'd just go grab a book.
Yep, I grab the book and go do that. Okay, let's talk about it a little bit. Now, everybody, actually, I think this is the first time we're recording twice in 1 week. This is pretty good. We should do this more often.
That's either a good thing or a bad thing. In this case, it was a bad thing because of the fact that we had so much to bitch about the last episode that we couldn't fit everything.
Well, in this episode, let's talk about it. Obviously, KP was fired. The excitement is dwindling down a little bit, the hype, the highlights, even though we're going to still poke at it a little bit. But literally, as we're about to click record, the announcement came across on Tuesday. Yes, Dan, it was Tuesday, not Wednesday. Sorry, I have to throw that in there. That KP was fired. But here's the thing. Nick went out and, the Eagles posted that he was fired, but then there was actually talks, and even Ian Rappaport said that he could potentially stay within the organization. Do you really think that's possible?
I mean, we've
seen... You hope that's not possible?
Oh, hell no. I don't want him part of this franchise at all, but, I mean, it's just such a weird situation. If you're saying there's a possibility that he can come back, I mean, even in the press conference yesterday that he and Howie had, it was do you expect him to come back or do you want him to come back? He's like, well, we expect him to be successful wherever he goes, but we'll kind of cross that bridge when it comes to it. So basically that's saying, Kevin, we know you suck ass and you're not going to go with another team. So we're basically just going to give you a check here. And you know what? Let's make him the passing coordinator like he was all these past years, because the passing game is the one thing we've been bitching about this entire time. Why can't we just cut bait with him? It's not like he's in demand. He's not going to get another job. It's just asinine to me. I don't get the love appeal.
Maybe Nick's putting his, name on the line. Please keep my buddy employed. I don't even want him as the water boy. I'm afraid he would mess that up and the team would get sick.
You put your name on the line for him, there's no way in hell you're going to have a job next year. So I wouldn't tie yourself to that dead horse, not at all.
Well, let's just put it this way. Nick already did that twice, and it didn't work out successful, putting his name on the line. I think if they do shit the bed this coming year, Nick's on a hot seat. And I have to tell you that it would be the same thing. The Eagles went to the Super Bowl. The following year didn't do too well with Dougie, and they didn't wait around.
Yeah, I agree. It's so weird to say that a guy who's been the most successful coach, I know Andy Reid made it to all those NFC championships, but he only made it to one Super Bowl. So I'm just going to go and say that he's the most successful coach, being Sirianni, that the Eagles have ever had, because he's had 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 win. And we're talking about he might just be very well coaching for his job. And I think with all the speculation, there's just all this shit that keeps coming out, with he has his fingers in this, he has his fingers in that, and he doesn't really call plays. So you got to think to yourself, what does he do that could set him aside from another coaching candidate? And I don't know. I don't know what he does. I know he's a culture guy. I know the players, let's put it this way. I know the players love to play for him. They do. Well, most of them. AJ Brown's a little bitch, but most of them want to play for him. And so there's that, but you can't tell me that there aren't other coaches that they would play for him. I just don't know. I think you're absolutely right. I think that if I would even go on a limb and say if they lose again in the wild card this year, well, 2026, I don't see him surviving. I really don't.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, we're talking about KP being gone, and there are a number of candidates out there. I think this is the only good thing about them losing in the first round is that we're not going to lose some good or potential candidates for the OC job. We have Brian Daboll, McDaniels, Kingsbury, Stefanski, Wright. You put on here Charlie Weiss Jr. from Ole Miss. I didn't even freaking hear this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, like seriously, you were also talking about Munchkin, whatever. I want to call him Munchkin, like donuts. I mean, literally.
So Charlie Weiss Jr. Actually, there's reports that they've had which is so weird. They had discussions with him when the playoffs start. So Kevin Petula was still the coordinator, but they reached out to him to kind of gain interest in him, and basically see what's going on. It was one of those like, hey, we might be firing our OC type of deals. So it seems like that's interesting. It's been confirmed. It's out there. So it's weird. Todd Monken, I mean, no official announcement has been made. I like Todd Monken only because every time I've watched the Ravens play, I've been like, I just wish that we could run that offense. Lamar Jackson is running the offense that I'd like to see the Eagles have. Creativity, crossing routes. Jalen won't run it as much as Lamar because of the fact that Jalen is just not the runner that Lamar is. Nobody's the runner, other than Michael Vick was the type of runner that he is. So it's not going to be like that, but I mean the RPO game. But it looks like with John Harbaugh basically just wanting to throw his career away and go to New York, that he's going to take Todd Monken with him. So that one's done.
I don't think they're going to be successful next year. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Harbaugh is a great head coach. Let's just put them in a rebuild phase for the next, 2 to 5. It sounds like a life sentence, really.
It is. Anybody who seems to go to any New York franchise at the moment is just basically just throwing away their life. And I guess, I mean, I don't hope he's successful because he's in the same division, but I like Harbaugh. But at the same time, he's a special teams coordinator, so he's kind of like what Sirianni is, where he's not going to call plays, and he's just in there to set a tone and a culture. So there's just not great personnel over in New York. But, I mean, the Eagles have one confirmed visit, and he's visiting today. I don't know if it's in person, if it's on a video call, whatever, and that's Zach Robinson. I had to Google search him. Yeah, exactly. He's the OC for the Falcons, which I don't understand having any sort of interest in that because when's the last time that you said the Falcons have a great offense? They suck ass. So why even bother with that? Other than he's under the Sean McVay tree. Yippee, I don't care. So, I mean, we all see how the trees work sometimes. We tried to shake the tree and go with Jonathan Gannon, who was a disciple under Vic Fangio. We all know how that shit worked out. So I don't agree with that. I mean, it's the first interview.
Who are your top 2 or 3 picks?
For me, now that Monken is gone, I mean, okay, so Stefanski's a pipe dream. I'm not even going to throw him in there because I think he's assured to get a head coaching job. I mean, I'm so on the fence. I like Daboll a little bit. I don't like Mike McDaniels. I just don't think our offense will be successful. I've heard a lot of things
that McDaniels, I mean, he's a quirky guy, but he's very creative in his stuff. But obviously all the stuff that happened down in Miami, I'm with you on that one. I'm not a McDaniels fan.
Well, if you think about it, who fired Vic Fangio? Mike McDaniels. So do you really want that dynamic in here? But I would go first with Daboll and then second with, I guess, Kingsbury, because I think that the offense he ran, I'm throwing out Kingsbury's year this year because he had the cycle between some dreck. He had Josh Johnson in there, he had Marcus Mariota in there, and when Jaden Daniels did play, we all saw he either got injured or just straight wasn't healthy. So I'm going to go back 2 years to when he was in Washington, and Washington's offense all of a sudden came out of nowhere. Jaden Daniels played great. Brian Daboll is a wild card for me. I like him because he's called plays years after years, and it's just so hard to get a gauge on him because when he was in Buffalo, he was successful. He was under Josh Allen. So was Josh Allen successful because of him? You know, it's kind of the Tom Brady effect, where the coach is good or was Tom Brady just that good? But, I mean, I just want a play caller who has experience, honestly. I don't want... That's why I'm not for this whole, you know, let's bring in these coaches like Zach Robinson stuff. Yes, they're OCs. Yes, they've called plays. But I want some guy that's seasoned in there. I want a guy that's called plays for years upon years, because I don't want to go in this whole experimentation phase that we always seem to go in. And I'm tired of it. I want some established play calling. I want somebody that's done it and can bring something to this offense.
So my listing goes Daboll first, and I'll explain why in a second. Kingsbury and, then Stefanski. I like Kingsbury. I agree with you. The reason that Daboll is my number one pick is because he already has relationship with Jalen, with Avonte. What was it, back in 2016, I think
his rookie year, Jalen's freshman year.
Yeah, so that is why I would go with him, because we talked about, we should have some continuity into the whole thing. Well, this would actually bring some slight stability that they already know each other. They already have that relationship from back then. And he can go like, oh, my God, Jalen, it's so nice to coach you again. Now let's get shit going and rock this world. That's where I'm at. I don't want to bring in some no-namer that I got to Google search and figure out where his background is, who hasn't been in the NFL, hasn't had some proven record in there, some backing in it. Yes, great. We tried the, college bringing in with, Kelly, and it just did not work out, man. And I don't want some experiment that we're going to do the hurry-up offense, and maybe they'll relocate again because some of the – no.
Yeah, and it's yesterday Howie pretty much said that they're in a win now mode. I mean, but then he went on to clarify that, it doesn't, just because you're in a win now mode doesn't mean you can't be building for the future, which is absolutely right.
You're always building for the future.
Well, smart teams are building for the future.
Yeah, well, we're talking Howie here, so.
Yeah, so if you're in a win now mode, your best chance at success is to get an established guy so that when things come in game, we can make that magic word, in-game adjustments.
I've never heard of that before. How do you do that?
Well, we're going to have to go back on our time machine to, it's almost a calendar year now, but, last season when it was just incredible, we made in-game adjustments and so on and so forth. And Jalen stood up at the podium and said, is that what you wanted to see? And when times
That was an awesome one against the Steelers, by the way.
It was a simpler time when AJ was still bitching for the ball, but we were winning. So he read a book and shut up. But I want experience out there. This is such a weird instance because the Eagles are the only franchise that I can think of when the coach had to come out and basically insinuate I'm going to step away from the offense. Like, this OC is going to have complete autonomy. He can run whatever he wants. So the Eagles franchise, it's just so weird, and it's all rumors, it's all speculation, but now you got some speculation surrounding Jalen's leadership. You got speculation around how much Nick wants to get involved. It's exhausting, to be honest with you, but I want experience out there.
I agree with you. Dan, I got a couple of stats for you that I heard, and I'll give some credit to Brody for his stats. The guy that we follow on TikTok who's part of like WIP and is always on the air talking about it. Now, he got his stats from somebody else, but follow him and you'll figure out where they came from. He said that back in 2024, the RPO stats was run 141 times, and Jalen ran 81 of those times. So you're looking at almost approximately half, right? Pretty awesome, right? You can figure like
And he
half
was
the time.
successful.
Yes. Now, Dan, the stats for this year, the RPO was run 81 times, okay, which is really weird, 81 to 81. But then Jalen only ran 8 of those times. So 1 out of every 10, he was actually running. That's a huge lopsidedness. I mean, I would have, if he was pushed up there close into the 70 mark for doing it, yeah. But we all saw it. We saw how successful he was last year. Now look at this year.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because it raises the question that we've heard rumblings of is, was it Jalen that didn't want to run more, or was it the OC? And if you're running an RPO, you kind of then have to put it on Jalen that he's not running. And so that's very interesting that he wouldn't do that. And I wonder, you'd have to go way into the stats, but I wonder how many of those actually were turned out to be a pass or how many of those turned out to be a handoff to Saquon. The offense just wasn't clicking. And that's the thing we've been talking about for probably since like week 3 is that they went away from the thing that made them the most successful. Now, whether it be Jalen or not, you can see they ran RPO 81 times, and they were the most successful team at running it last year. So you decided to basically say what we were successful in and just not do it anymore. So it's a crazy thing to think of. And, it goes back to play calling, scheme, schematic. They tried to turn Jalen into more of a drop back passer, and that's just not his strength. We saw it.
Okay, so then I'm going to present you with an additional information from the show, which I thought was very interesting. A long-time analyst came on to the same show, I don't know if it was around the same time, and he presented a theory or a speculation. I don't know if it was reckless because it wasn't Hugh Douglas jumping in there. And he said, could it possibly be Jalen and that he doesn't want to run and he wants more money? And that's how he's going to do this offseason is restructure it to get Jalen more money so he does run. I don't see how that fits because, first of all, you're not going to run because you want more money. That just sounds like AJ there, and complaining. He doesn't want more money, but he wants more passing. He wants to get the ball more. I don't see that as the type of person he is, but it does bring some interesting questions around why he didn't run as often based off of those stats.
So what I'll say to that is if you're Jalen, you have to identify that the thing you do most successful is to run the ball. Okay. Well, okay. One of the highlights is you run the ball, and that sets up your passing game. So if you want to make more money and bank a huge check again, I would think he'd be more inclined to run. Unless he's got it in the back of his mind that he's going to get injured. But like I've said many times, I think you're more inclined to get injured if you're a drop back passer because the pocket's collapsing on you and you really don't have visibility all around you. When you're running, you have everything in front of you so you can see, you have better visibility to protect yourself. So, I mean, I think what you're going to see, and you've already seen Sports Talk Radio start already, you're starting to see them trying to drum up stories. They're trying to get interest. It's the off season. I mean, the only thing that you really have right now are the Flyers and the Sixers, and they're not the most exciting things. So you're going to see them try to drum up stories, create drama, and that's what they do. They're trying to get listeners, but I think that take is a little contradictory to what I would think. That's like saying that Lamar wants to cash in for more money, so he's going to be a drop back passer, or same thing with Josh Allen. I just don't see it. I don't see that one.
Well, actually, going off, I don't want to say fake news, and I messaged you about it, and I wanted to find the article, and I couldn't find it again. Is that it was actually one of the analysts, I don't know if it was on NFL or whatever, he mentioned that the leaks that we were hearing throughout the entire off-season, the regular season, was from KP. He's the one who released that Jalen, nobody's listening to him, or Jalen will do whatever he wants on the field, and all the internal issues that they're having because KP is good friends with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is part of the news. Now, I haven't seen anything confirmed, so I can't say that this is right or wrong, but there's another one of those, well, this story only popped up once. If it was legit, shouldn't we see more information about it?
Yeah, so that's very interesting because there was a story that came out this morning about Jalen. The locker room dysfunction stems from Jalen's certain relationship with players, and players other than AJ have also discussed they didn't, like his leadership ability or like, I don't know, Jalen as a I don't know. But basically it's just stemming from the locker room drama is created more by Jalen. And I think he has...
KP released that, but they're going to keep him on the team.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen's personality can be off-putting. He comes across as off-putting. I don't know what he's like behind closed doors, but, he's a very stoic guy. He keeps to himself. He's not, like, quote-unquote, one of the guys. He's not going to go out and party and all that stuff, and that might rub people the wrong way. And I got news for you. I know there's so many things out there about how Jalen, likes Michael Jordan, they're best friends and whatever. People hated Michael Jordan. Absolutely hated Michael Jordan because of the fact that he had such a high standard for himself that he would push people so hard to get success because he knows that his team success couldn't just be on his own. Does that make sense? His individual success
it's
was tied to that.
It's not a one-man show.
Right.
As much as everybody think it is, like you could have A.J. Brown on any team, and A.J. may look good, but he only looks good if he gets the ball from a good QB.
Yeah, and, everybody hated MJ. Pippen hated him. Rodman hated him because he was very stern, and he demanded the highest quality, and Jalen seems like he'd be that type of person. And where I come from is if you got a quarterback who demands more of you, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing, because if you got a quarterback or a leader that doesn't really demand the best out of you, then no one's holding you accountable. You're just basically going and doing whatever, and you work at your own leisurely pace. And I don't like that. I would rather him be like that, but maybe his personality does rub people the wrong way. But, as fans, we have to just accept the fact that Jalen is our quarterback. For all his flaws, for all his issues that he might have, locker room, not locker room, we're not moving on from him, okay? At least not for, the next 2 years or whatever. We can get into that at another time, but... he's our quarterback, so it's time we build a system around him. We highlight his good features. I mean, Kellen Moore, I know we threw the ball less than any other team in the league. I know we did. So everybody's going to say, well, they were winning in spite of Jalen. But the fact is that when we asked Jalen to actually throw the ball, he was pretty successful. It wasn't one of those the passing game was unsuccessful because we just couldn't pass the ball. It was because they were running at such a high clip that why pass the ball? So we have seen him in certain instances be successful. So I think we just need to go back to the basics of establishing what's going to make him successful. You can't take Sirianni's system, which is a square peg, and put it in a round hole. You can't do it. Some quarterbacks you could do that with, okay? There were good ones where they were synonymous with any system. You got Peyton Manning. He probably could have ran any system. You've got Josh Allen. He could run any system out there you want him to do. The fact is that this team doesn't have Josh Allen. So I don't want to hear the whole, if we had Josh Allen on this team, we would have won 5 Super Bowls or whatever. We don't have it. Shut your mouth. This is what we got. Be thankful.
Dan, there are a number of big free agents coming up, and I know it's early because obviously the season really hasn't ended yet. The playoffs, blah, they're happening. I'm not thrilled about pretty much most of the teams that are in there. There are a number of players, just like any year, after the Super Bowl, you've got a lot of holes, a lot of things going on. I'm just going to quickly run down through the names. Dan, I want you to go through the list and say keep or re-sign or I think we're okay letting go. So obviously, and I'll do that. You know what? Let me do it right after. So Dallas Goedert, Dan, keep or go?
Keep under a reasonable contract.
Yeah, what was he running into age? And it's funny when you say somebody.
I think he's running into 32.
Like 32, and you're like, oh, he's old. And, well, he's old in football years, right? It's like dog years. So I think last year there was that trade rumors and shopping around. I think Goedert has been a staple for Jalen, and you keep him around. Jahan Dotson.
Keep, but I don't think that he's going to be on the team. I don't. If A.J. Brown comes back, I don't think he's going to be on the team.
We're going to talk about a little bit more about A.J. Brown shortly after this, but I like Dotson. If A.J. goes, Dotson stay, and in my opinion. Jalen Phillips.
Absolutely.
Yep. I can't even say Aziz Ojulari.
Yeah.
Ojulari. Okay.
Bye.
Yeah, I don't even recognize like his name being called or being. I mean, he might have been in there doing something. Who knows?
He was on IR or whatever the hell you want to call.
Blankenship.
All right. So I think I know where you're going to go, but I don't think that. I think he could be easily replaced with a cheaper contract than you're going to have to pay him.
If he somehow miraculously takes the deal that Howie's going to present to him, obviously he wants to stay as an Eagle and keep. I know where you're coming from. When he comes down into the box, he's not too good, okay? I think I'm on a keep with Blankenship, and we can discuss more about him. I think it's not only his work ethic that puts it in there. I don't think he's a total liability, given that you have other players that make up some of the miss that happened. But there's worse players on the team, let's just put it that way.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So Brandon Graham, and I'm going to comment here, is Brandon Graham also said, and he put it out there, he wants to return, and he's going to stay in shape if the Eagles would like him to return.
I would. It's going to be a cheap contract. He's a good depth piece, and we saw, even at his age, even though he wasn't in training camp, he was effective when he was on the field.
Yep, it only took about, like 2 or 3 games, and then he was very productive. He got back into Uche.
Bye.
Yeah. Dory Jackson.
Goodbye.
If you said keep, I think I would jump through this. I mean, he was more than a warm body, let's just put it that way. He was better than the backups that we had there. So he wasn't the bottom of the barrel, but he definitely wasn't
Which is horrible to say because he was better than the backups only because the backups were the worst we've ever seen.
They're the worst in the NFL, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Kalen Granson. I think he was out there in the Washington game.
No.
I'm not. Yeah, Matt Pryor.
Depth piece, sure. Why not?
AJ Dillon. I'd say go.
He's out.
Yeah, I would. I like who we have where we're at. First of all, they brought him in to return, and then he was like Butterfingers into it. I think the new OC that comes in should do a 2-headed monster between Saquon and Tank Bigsby, and then have Will Shipley. Sometimes it'd be nice to have him in there, but you know what? He's dropped a couple himself, and I was a little disappointed in his season this year versus last.
Yeah.
Fred Johnson.
I like him. I don't think he's a starter, but I definitely think he is a solid backup that we don't have to worry about. So I would take him back.
I agree with you. And I think Fred Johnson did a great job. And with how Lane does become injury prone, you keep him as a backup. Nakobe Dean.
I'm out. Because of the money that he's going to demand, I'm out.
I'm with you on that. we heard his name or we saw a lot of production in sporadic moments from him, but when you have everybody else on it, he was injured most of it, and then he came back, and then he was injured again. No, I'm out on that one.
Yeah, and that's not. I'm not saying out because he's a bad player at all. I'm
Oh
saying
yeah,
out because we have Jahad Campbell, and
yep,
I would take that money and allocate it elsewhere.
agree. Oken Ori Walker. All right. Anyway, you try this one.
I don't. What is it?
A lot of O's and
No, I'm out.
Okenor-
I'm not even gonna say. If I don't recognize the name and I can't pronounce it, I'm out.
I love it. What about Epps?
I would re-sign Epps and I would cut Sidney Brown in a heartbeat.
Oh, I agree. Sidney Brown, he was great on special teams. Maybe throw him on the practice squad.
Oh, yippee.
Brett Toth.
I didn't think he played well at all, so I wouldn't.
No. Van Samir.
Vince, he's restricted. I mean, he was injured all year. He went out all year. He was supposed to be our quasi fullback.
Yep.
So I see no benefit in keeping him, but I'm sure he'll be back in some kind of capacity. He'll be one of those practice squad guys.
He'll be low budget. Let's just put it that way. Sam Howell.
No. Third quarterback.
Yeah, I think. I mean, nobody really has much tape on him now. I mean, what did he really do, or how much work did he really put in that you saw him? I think you can probably. Yeah, I don't think it's a re-sign. Calcaterra.
I'm out on Calcaterra. I think he's okay.
Why?
I think he's okay. But I would like to see them rather get a second tight end in the draft, personally. Like maybe use a third rounder on a tight end. Tight ends don't usually go that high, but I would like to see them get a tight end in the third round that they can kind of cultivate into a guy that's going to take over. Now, I'm saying this because I think that they might sign Goedert back for like a year or two, maybe 3, I don't know. But I would sign kind of like what we did with, when we had Chad Lewis, we then went to Zach Ertz. When we had Zach Ertz, we had Goedert on the roster. So we've kind of been forward-thinking in that aspect. I would draft Goedert's replacement, and I would make him the number 2.
All right, I agree with you. I like that aspect of it. Calcaterra, I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I think he's been a clutch player in a number of positions, but we got to start thinking about the future. And Goddard's only had like a couple of injuries or wasn't in sometimes. Calcaterra was stepping up. So if you draft a rookie tight end, you have the potential to get him ready as his replacement and get Goedert re-signed, say on a 2-year, and then it gives him time to come up. All right, Felix Falolo.
Left tackle? Yep. I've never even heard of him, so I'm out.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's talk about the defense now, which has been pretty cool, is that a number of these, and I don't want to say cool, but is that these haven't been really significant top-end players that are going to require a huge contract. Those that you do need to pay, though, or look at potentially keeping at it, we can talk about Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. What are your thoughts on them?
So Jalen Carter is entering his 4th year. So he's under a rookie contract. They can pick up the 5th-year option if they want him again next year. I think you're going to start to see him demand really high money. He strikes me as a person that actually would hold out for more money. I know what let me put it this way. I know what the Eagles are going to do, okay? They're going to prioritize him and they're going to re-sign him. I'm pretty sure they're going to do that. I wouldn't give him top-tier money. I know he has an impact on games. He does. But the fact is that he's not an Aaron Donald out there, okay? He's not going to demand, or he's not the guy that's going to get you all those sacks and everything. And the way the market is the defensive tackle position is kind of getting way up there in money, and I just wouldn't give him top 5 defensive tackle money because I just don't feel he's a top 5 defensive tackle. And I know people are going to probably rip me apart for that because there is a love appeal for Jalen Carter. I like him as a player, don't get me wrong, but I don't like him as I want to pay him top 5 defensive tackle money.
I agree. I think Carter would hold out. Would you take the 5th-year option on him?
I would, but I don't think he's going to play under it because none of that money. I don't think any of that money is guaranteed. I think Jordan Davis is an interesting one because I don't think he'd demand top tier money. He would demand a lot of money. He's in his 5th-year option coming up, so he would have to play under that. I would re-sign Jordan Davis because I think he showed a commitment finally to getting in shape. He was on the field a lot more, and he had an impact in pretty much every game. I would definitely re-sign him, and I don't think he'll be a break-the-bank type of guy.
I think just his attitude in general, like he seems like a pretty cool, relaxed guy. Like, I want to play on the team. Let's get this done. He's an all-around team effort. We've seen some issues early on with Carter. We won't talk about Spitgate much, but, that was a little instigation by Dak. But going through a couple of things, I think Carter would be a holdout. I do feel that he would be, I want money. I want my money. And at that point, you're just going to have to say, see ya, and, lean on the guys you have.
They won't let him walk out They won't let him walk out the building.
Do you think they're going to pay him top dollar?
I think they'll pay him.
If they're not going to pay him top dollar, they give him the 5th year and he doesn't play under it, then what's the ultimatum? They got to find a common ground, so he's not going to get top dollar at that point.
I think what Howie specializes in doing is the way that the books are is the guy is getting top dollar, but the way that he moves it around, the cap hit doesn't really go extreme until the end of the term. And I think you'll see one of those. I do think in terms of annual salary per year, the way that it's going to look on the books, you're going to see him get top 5 money. And I think the Eagles are going to pay him. I don't agree with it, but I think you're going to see them pay him.
So it'll look like he's getting top, but at the end of it, they're going to say, hey, we're restructuring or we want to restructure. But the player doesn't have to.
And that's what they always do. They backload the contract. I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, that's why Jalen is on the books for I think he was on the books for $20 million this past year. And yet, when you look at his annual per year salary, it states that he's getting $50 million. It's just the way that the books are made, which is why Howie's so good. He's able to assemble these teams because he backloads the contracts and then gets people to negotiate their end term and restructure.
Do you think Jalen's going to restructure? Do you think Jalen hurts, by the way? I should clarify.
No, I know what you're
saying.
Restructure, I don't think so. I don't think he has to yet. He's still
there are a
3
number
years.
of players we got to sign. There's a number of flexibility that we need. I don't know. I mean, do I think he's that type of a team player that he's going to restructure so that he gets a contract extension, which we just talked about, where he might change his contract, get it extended, and backload it so we free up some money now. Then you pay Carter.
So interesting. I don't think he would restructure because he's only counting for $31.77 million against the cap in 2026. And for a starting quarterback, that's really not that much. I mean, that's why Dallas can't afford to re-sign jack shit, because Dak is against the cap for basically $55 million. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to restructure. I don't even think, let me put it this way, I love Jalen, but I don't think you entertain the idea of extending his contract right now. You need to see him go out there and prove himself again, because there's so many rumblings about his leadership styles and his play declining because he won't run. I think he needs to go out there and prove that he is still an MVP type player.
That's actually a huge possibility. We'll see if that's actually happens and coming up. Some other things that we need to talk about is the offensive line. Okay. Dan, I agree with you. Our offensive line, revamp, we got Dickerson, Juergens, Lane, Steen. Okay, we got Malata in there. Dickerson's on to 2029 along with Malata, Lane, 2028, and then Juergens is 2030. Holy shit, that contract's all a long time, man. I got to redo this. What are your thoughts here?
I don't think they have much wiggle room, to be honest with you. They just signed their extensions. Most of them signed their extensions either 1 or 2 years ago, which is why you see these contracts pushed out so far. I do think Lane is probably a candidate for a restructure again. He seems to do that quite often. So you're going to see those contract terms pushed out a little bit. The only place that I think we're going to see a revamp in is the right guard situation. They, for some reason, were enamored with Steen. I personally think he's dog shit, and he's not a starter. I've seen him whiff too many blocks, and his strength was supposed to be he's a bit leaner than the other guys, so he was supposed to be stronger in the pass rush game, and I just didn't see sustained success in that, so I would move on from him, and I think an interesting name to watch is Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton
yeah, I saw that.
He's made it very clear. He's made it very clear that he is unhappy out there in LA. Now, he was unhappy with Greg Roman, and Greg Roman has been fired, but I don't
know. I saw that in speculation. Bring him back and that would be awesome because he was pretty much the only one on the offensive line that left, and look where they're at.
Yeah, and he was a great player, and I think he's from a contractual standpoint kind of killed himself because of the fact that he's made it known that he wants to come to Philly. He's put it out there, I'll come to Philly. So he really doesn't have too much bargaining power. So I think that they'll be able to get him on a short contract, but again, LA has his contract, so it would require A, a trade, or B, it would require them to outright release him. So I don't know what's going to happen with that one.
Trade. There's no way they're going to outright release him.
I didn't think so either.
There's going to be a draft pick in there somewhere. How would be like, listen, we want him back. You don't need him. Let's just,
I'll give a mid-round pick. I'll give like a 4th or a 5th for him. Absolutely.
Well, they got so many. I mean, they were banking them like fucking candy. So, I mean, why not?
Yeah, and he's a proven starter. He's had success with the team. So it's not like you're getting this unproven commodity out there. So, I mean, I would definitely go with him. That's a pipe dream, though.
I don't know. Let's not put Howie doubt in our big old, and Howie we trust for that one. Dan, let's talk about the end of the year press conference. I've watched it a bunch of times with Howie and Nick on it. And one of the biggest things that was asked was about A.J. Brown. Our recording earlier this week, we bitched. A.J., you're gone. A.J., the thing. With KP gone, I'm on the fence now. Do I feel that the new offensive coordinator comes in, that Howie, everybody kind of, relaxes them a little bit, and AJ's not going anywhere? I mean, it was kind of a roundabout answer that Howie gave, and on this status, and I think he's just letting things calm down, and maybe the next OC will bring things back up. But where are you at with A.J. Brown?
So Howie came out and said that we're in the business of obtaining good players or great players, and A.J. is a great player, so we wouldn't...
And that's the type we're looking for.
Yeah. So in other words, you're not moving on from him. But again, people are like saying, oh, well, that's a definitive yes that we're keeping him. What do you expect Howie to say? Do you expect
on a press conference for you guys?
Well, yeah. Do you expect him to come out and say, yeah, we're going to explore all options? Because that hurts his negotiating standpoint. It does. So he's not going to tell you the truth. It's all smoke and mirrors. That's all it is. Now, to say that he's going to be released, or traded, So the numbers look at like this. Okay. To trade him pre-June 1st, it's $43.5 million against the cap for this year. Okay. So you're paying $43 million for a guy that's not going to play on your team. Now, if you trade him post-June 1st, which is going to be so hard because the draft has already happened. So unless you're willing to take draft capital for the next year, I don't know. You're talking about 16.4 million against the cap in 2026 and 27. That's much more feasible. 27.1 in 27. So it's much more feasible. Now, would I deal with it? No. I'm out. I'm done. It's time to rip off the Band-Aid. I'm sick and tired of it. Whether the distaste is with Jalen or whether it's with A.J. Brown, I don't care. There's a certain way you should go about doing things professionally, okay? Let's look at this like a business. He's a professional. You don't air your dirty laundry. Nothing positive can come out of it. You have those discussions internally. Just, I don't understand, and I can't look at it from AJ's standpoint and sympathize because players want money. He's got it. He got a brand new contract in which he's making top 10 wide receiver money. They want to win. The Eagles win every year. Say what you want. The Eagles are a successful franchise every year. They want a ring because they want their legacy to be cemented. Well, you got a ring. You almost had another ring. And the Eagles are going to be one of the favorites to go back to the Super Bowl, so you have another chance at a ring. I don't understand what more you could want, okay, from a person. And Nick can stand up there and say all he wants, and I am going to go on a 5-second rant here. He could go up there and say whatever he wants. To say that AJ was giving maximum effort this year is a slap in the face to anybody that's actually watched the game. He was not running hard on his routes. He was not 100% into his routes. There were a lot of actual good videos put out there by Jason Avonte this past time to show the playoff game when he didn't even try to run block. And his guy that he was supposed to run block cracked down and hit Saquon. So there's just, where's the effort? Okay? You can't coach the type of issues that he's having. He's having internal issues that he doesn't want to be here. And if you don't want to be here, I don't want you here. So I'm out. Get lost. Will our offense be a little less explosive? Perhaps. But I'm out. I'm tired of it, you know. And with the defense that we're building, I think can pick up the slack for a lack of offense. And plus, let's face it, our offense wasn't good this year with him on the field. So who gives a shit?
Well, you could always draft a couple of receivers anyway, too, and potentially, I mean, they're always somehow picking some of the top guys, not even in the first round. I understand where you're coming from. AJ's being a little bitch and complaining.
And he's back on Twitter again.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's posting those cryptic messages, you know, quoting these, I don't know, things.
From his book?
I don't know.
Hey, please. Thus does not like me. Thus does not want me. I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have included a couple of those. I would have loved to hear what the heck I don't even follow him on Twitter because he doesn't actually post anything worthwhile. I think all sports people should stay the fuck off of social media unless they're promoting maybe their fundraising or they're doing some kind of awesome thing for that or they're giving a congrats to a couple. Other than that, all they do is go on and drum up and stir some stuff. I get where you're coming from with AJ, and I think that's why you kind of re-signed Dotson and keep him a little bit. I think he was pretty good. Do I think he's going to create all the separation? No, but I think if with a great OC, you're going to have Devontae Smith, you'll have Goedert, you'll have another tight end. Maybe you can go with 21 personnel on the team. You'll have Saquon into it. Who knows? So I think that would be one of the options. But given the money that's out there or given the money that you would lose, this is going to be a tough situation, and I don't know how they're going to handle it.
Yeah, and I don't know how restructuring a contract would work. I mean, if I'm just thinking to myself, I'm saying, okay, well, if you restructure the contract, then you're basically just writing off the contract and making a new one. I don't know if that's how it works. I mean, the only way that I could see it happen is if the contract terms change. I don't see how he's not going to just take a dead investment. You know, the only
No.
thing that would possibly change this and make this happen is if we get the whole detrimental to the team thing. If it becomes this huge thing, and it is huge, but I mean, if we're talking TO level blow up here, that's the only way I could see it happening where Howie would eat the dead money. But I just, it's a tough situation. You know, they put money into the guy thinking he'd be an elite star, and he is, but they also put money into him being a leader and being someone to build the franchise forward. And I've had it. I'm tired of it. And I just want a professional out there. Avonte doesn't go out there and bash his quarterback. He doesn't go out there and bash his coach. You know, Saquon goes out there and says the right things. And meanwhile, our star wide receiver doesn't speak to the media, you know, and he goes on Twitter and posts things. Why? AJ would be able to dispel all this and create absolutely no offseason drama if he was just an adult and came out and said, I love Philly. I want to be in Philly. I didn't have a good year. I'm going to do better. Nothing. There's no drama.
Captain. He would be a true captain.
There's no drama there. You don't have to talk about it off season. You don't have to have these trade speculations. That would be the end of it. You can move forward. Instead, he's not saying anything, so here come all the rumor mills. Here comes, oh, well, he's unhappy with this. He needs an antidepressant here. He needs, you know, he would just be able to dispel everything if he would just open his mouth and say the right thing. But instead, he just likes to post things and create these situations, and I'm just not for it. I'm tired of it.
I'm right there with you. I don't think that he's providing good value to the team the way he's acting. And it's such a tough situation because it kind of started last year with him sitting reading a book on the sideline. Yet we were all actually happy with the offense. There were times that we were like, hey, let's throw the ball. And, you know, but they were winning and they went to the Super Bowl. Yet there's always an issue. I do think if he would just clear the air, shut his mouth, go to work, things would be fine. But can you do that now? Can you go back in time and correct the mistakes and be on the team for this year?
He can if he addresses this publicly and says, I want to be in Philly. I wasn't good. I need to be a better leader. That would be what I want to hear. And I think my biggest issue with him is he is coming off as a me-first person. You saw it. He was unhappy last year, but they were winning. Okay? So you're unhappy with the team winning because you're not getting your kudos, even though he still got 1,400 yards receiving, I think, or whatever. This year, the team was winning. Then you go and say something, and all of a sudden the team starts to lose, but you got your individual stats. Why can't you just be a team player? Why should it matter if you have 2 catches as opposed to 10 catches as long as your team is winning? And that's my problem. I'm not a me-first type person. I don't want that on my team, and I have no interest in it.
Dan, moving on to obviously our last 2 questions of it. In the beginning of the year, beginning of the season, we talked about it. The Tush Push was not dead. In fact, Philly was the number 1 team that could do it. And the teams that didn't want it, what was it, the Bills and the Packers, right? Mm-hmm. Though this year, the Eagles haven't been successful as they have in previous years with the Tush Push. Is this by design so people can stop shutting up about it?
Nah.
And the most successful team kind of running it was the Bills, I have to tell you. So is the Tush Push dead? Are we really going to talk about it at all this year? Because it seems that, and I don't think it is. I think, in fact, it's not even going to be a question this year. And it doesn't matter. The Eagles didn't run it as effectively, whether they didn't want to on purpose or not, or because KP didn't know how to call the Tush Push. I mean, it wasn't on his X's and O's, squares and circles.
So I actually think it's going to be around again.
Yep.
Whether or not it's for discussion, I don't know, because you had all the drama in the beginning of the year where the Eagles were jumping off sides, and you had dipshit Blandino come on and say, this is a hard play to officiate. When I don't understand, because it's just like any other play. What's so hard to officiate it? If a guy jumps off sides, you call it for it. So I don't understand it, and how it's different from the QB sneak to officiate it, I don't know, but I think it'll still be around because their whole crux of injuries, I didn't see one person get injured on it. So there's no argument.
I don't think
for
there's
it.
ever been a person injured on it. I don't think anybody, except for when you jump over the pile 4 or 5 times.
There's no argument for it other than it's a hard play to officiate, which I don't get. So,
and that's not even coming from a team perspective. That's coming from a head official who is not even on the field anymore and is just commentating on it.
Yeah, and if you're going to say that's hard to officiate, then you're going to say the quarterback sneak in itself is hard to officiate. If you're going to eliminate the whole pushing of the quarterback thing, well, then do you branch off and say, okay, when a runner's stacked up, you can't go behind him and push him forward for those extra yards? I mean, where do you draw the line, and how granular do you want to get? It seems like a whole bunch of nonsense to me.
I don't think it's going anywhere. If you look at how bad the officiating was this year, it was horrible between the pass interference calls, the non-pass interference calls, holding, everything. This last wild card, while the Eagles were going to lose pretty much no matter what, there was some bad ones. Trent Williams, holding in the backfield. Literally, it was only the 2 guys back there besides the QB, besides Purdy. Yet there was some holding, and he was asked about it, and I swear he was like, oh, well, I got away with it, type deal. So I think officiating sucked this year, period, and it's tough to officiate because you can't do it on a regular basis versus the tush push.
So okay, that brings me into Dan's wish list for the offseason. I think...
Glasses for the refs?
Yeah, well, you got all this technology in the world. I think it's time that you start saying, along with the coaches, they have... Okay, so coach has 2 challenges. As long as you're successful on both, I think you get that 3rd challenge. I think it's time to say that you can challenge a penalty at this point, or you can challenge a blatant non-penalty. So basically, if you're throwing the ball down the field and your guy's arm barred and there's no call, you can challenge that. And they can overturn it and give you the foul, award you it, but it counts as a challenge. I think that there has to be some kind of measurement against the inadequacies of reffing this year, because it was a joke. It impacted games at such a high clip that it made some unwatchable. And, you've got things like that came out, was it the NBA, about the ref shaving points or whatever?
Yep.
You've got all these things in place that could happen now. And the use of technology can, in fact, help mitigate some of those risks, because if a ref is going to go out there and blatantly miss a pass interference call that could decide the game, then you can use technology to say, I'm going to challenge that and overturn that. So... Yep. I want technology to be more involved. I don't care. I don't think it's going to slow down the game significantly like they're talking about, because that's been their whole argument, was we don't want to use challenges or technology like that because it's going to slow down the game. I think you saw it with this year with the whole virtual measurement thing. It didn't slow down the game at all.
I actually thought it worked out pretty good because it was quick. And I was kind of against it a little bit. I'm like, man, I like the chain gang. That was still there as a precaution. But I think the virtual measurement, there might have been 1 or 2. I'm like, are we sure about that? But we were okay with it.
Yeah, and I just want to see technology be more involved in the decision-making process because, even so, okay, let's not use technology. You've got that ref that's up in the booth in every single game that's basically saying this should have been a foul, this shouldn't have been a foul. Why can't he radio down? Why can't he he's looking at a television. Why can't he radio down and say, excuse me, that should have been a foul? And then the ref can come on and say, after further review, there was a pass interference. I don't understand why that can't happen. It's just
I don't want to say I'm against that. I think that could be called so many times. I think it should be a challenge. I like your idea that they still have their 2 challenges. No, they don't get a third. They can challenge anything in those 2, and then they get a third. So potentially, if they win those challenges, they have 2 to challenge a spot. They can challenge a call for PI or a penalty or a non-call. If they win them, they get their next one. If they don't, they lose it. I don't think they add any extra. I think you let that up to the head coaches to make that decision, which you're not adding additional challenges into it, which could potentially slow it down. I don't see many coaches actually challenging more than once throughout a game. I agree on that aspect.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it'll happen, but that would be on my wish list for sure.
All right, closing it out. Our last question, Dan. What's next?
What's next is we'll get an OC in here, and
we're going to have to pick him apart. We're going to have to pick the OC apart to see our conference, what the fan base, their confidence is on this person. And yes, we're all waiting, but we're glad they're taking their time. We're glad others haven't been signed onto teams just yet. So obviously it's a waiting game. I think we have time to make that decision, but not too much because you want to get things started.
Yeah, and you got to weigh, will coaches see this as a desirable landing location? And I think a lot of the turmoil or issues with Jalen and issues with Nick and AJ, I think that those things are going to have to be addressed by the OC candidate, meaning, okay, I'm looking at going to Philadelphia, but let me have a conversation with AJ and see where he's going to be. Is he going to be on this team next year? Let me have a conversation with Jalen, see what he's comfortable with, and see if it's even worth my time to go try to bring my system into him. So it's going to be a long off season. There's so many question marks, like any off season, but with the way that this season ended, it adds a lot of more issues, I guess.
Well, everybody, this has been the Philly Fan Radio. I'm John Myer along with Dan Palmieri. And Dan, close us out.
Yeah, it's been a great year talking to everybody. I don't anticipate it being too long until we talk with you some more because there's always something happening in the world of the Eagles. We can sit here and bullshit all we want and just basically break down speculation and create our own speculation. But, it's been great, and keep engaged.
All right, everybody. Oh, and I want to let you know that Dan and I and a couple of others have signed back up for the Eagles Autism Challenge that is happening in May. We'll have more information maybe on our next episode, how you can participate, either help us out or even join and share some things. There's more information coming along that way. We're happy to do it for year 2. It was pretty cool last year, riding through Philadelphia. Well, I guess, Dan, go Birds?
Go Birds. Yeah, go Birds.